Did you ever wonder who the major players are involved in the Belmont Learning Center development? Who planned the strategy, bought the property, and wrote the contract? David Cartwright, senior partner in the law firm of O'Melveny and Myers, who served as legal counsel to the Los Angeles Unified School District during the acquisition of the Belmont site. Two words used in quotes, as is, statement here that has become the subject of a lot of discussion. And that is, why would the LA Unified School District buy a site that had thousands of closed or 1,000 closed oil wells and all these environmental problems as is? The perception was that this is being passed over to the taxpayers, the burden, and indeed we're ready to put another $110 million in there. Why was that phrase, as is, put in there?
Well, let me back up a minute, because the characterization you've made is wrong.
Oh, I'm just reading from this Inspector General's report.
Yeah. Well, let me just take 1 second to comment on that report. It's a work of fiction.
Fiction?
As is the report from the so-called Joint Legislative Audit Committee. These are works of fiction. It's like going to the bestseller list, buying a book, and assuming what's written is true when it's actually written by a novelist.
According to the Inspector General's report, you wrote a memo, it said, that advised the LAUSD to relax its normal accounting procedures in tracking the expenditures by the developers, contractors, and subcontractors at Belmont, which resulted in actual overbilling of the LAUSD. And they actually put that memo in there as an attachment and numbered it and whatever. Now, is that fiction or is that fact?
Their interpretation of it is a complete mischaracterization and completely false. The Inspector General and the people he had writing that report know absolutely nothing about real estate and nothing about school construction. And that's why I say it's a work of fiction.
We interviewed Steve Cooley, and he told us on our program that you had been exonerated by a court of law. But in fact, if it didn't go to trial, then there wasn't any cross-examination, or you didn't have to go through all of that then.
They didn't even have enough evidence to bring the charges. And if you read Cooley's report, other than the prologue and the postlude, you will find that not only doesn't it support any charges, it says the Belmont project is a great project.
What you're saying is there wasn't enough evidence for it to go to trial.
That's correct. They never brought the charges. The investigation didn't lead them to charge any of the original team that was doing the Belmont project.
How do you feel about corruption? How do you feel about contractors that try to take advantage of a school district?
Yeah. In this case, the corruption had nothing to do with the contractor. It had everything to do with the Hotel Workers Union and a dispute over the unionization of the staff at the Nuitani Hotel.
But where did the money go?
The money for the construction?
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about false billings
and they were
kickbacks. And
all of those things were disproved. Those type of allegations were primarily made by the unions. They were not true. They were absolutely incorrect, and not a single one of those charges has any verification at all.
Let me ask you, don't we have state laws that require the schools to take special consideration with regards to earthquake faults?
Absolutely.
Don't we have laws that mandate that there be mitigation and protections against hazardous environmental conditions?
Absolutely. Belmont complied with all of those.
They did?
Absolutely.
Then why is it that some people believe that the contractor didn't comply? Where do they get that impression?
Leslie, the problem is the whole issue has to do with the union dispute at the Nuitani. It has nothing to do with the environmental condition of the Belmont site. That is one of those issues that people create to encourage hysteria. And the fundamental issue of Belmont has to do with the Hotel Workers Union and the Nuitani, and not with the oil field.
Who advised the district to cease construction?
Well, a number of people advised the district to do that, all of whom have a fairly scandalous role in the Belmont project, and some of whom are still at the district today, but most of whom are gone as well. And That included everyone from Mullinex and some of his lawyers like Barry Groveman and Roger Carrick to school board members like David Tokofsky, who have quite reprehensible conduct in this whole affair.
Are you saying that the Inspector General advised the school district to shut down that project?
Yes, and this is a man who doesn't have a clue about school construction or oil and gas, and he's.
Are you saying that he's on record as doing that?
Absolutely, he's on record. Repeatedly. And to this day, we could never, those of us who were involved in trying to build schools could never get these people to debate us in public, those of us who were building the schools. We said, fine, you want to criticize it, do it in a public forum. Let us debate you. Don't surreptitiously write this stuff that nobody can challenge till it's published in the press. They have never done that. To this day, they haven't done it. The district has caused great harm to school construction in California by what it's done with Belmont. And it really requires a complete reform of the system in order to get us back to affordable schools. And I don't see that coming down the pipeline soon. And I've been accused of being an advocate for the schools. And you know, I'll accept that accusation. That's true. I am an advocate for the public schools. And I firmly believed in the Belmont project when it was under construction, and I firmly believe in it now. And there is nothing wrong with that project, and the schools should be built. And I retain and have always believed that, and I believe that through all these investigations. And one of the things about telling the truth is you never contradict yourself. When you tell the truth, ultimately, I think you prevail. Mm-hmm. And certainly in those investigations, that's what happened. They could write whatever they wanted, but the truth still prevailed.
Uncovering waste, exposing fraud, revealing corruption. SoulDisclosure.net, the news behind the news.